with your headphones turned up, looking like a doll. And pillow talk to solve your problems, another to break your fall. So here we go again, it's a race to cut ties, the mental hopscotch.
Oh, hell yes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to World 11 Podcast. I'm your host, the Chocolate Dunder with Wonder, Eddie V. Joining me is the Red Rail. I can't say. I'm so geek. We just had a really good discussion that we'll probably bring up later on in the show. The Red Velvet Nordic Beast himself, Big Papa, Mr. Larry Giver.
My beard is velvety.
You look like ZZ Top. That's what you remind me of, like a cool version of ZZ Top. I love ZZ Top. I really do. I want a fucking full-on acapella version of LaGrange. Like, I want one person per, like, instrument, and I want to hear a full acapella version of LaGrange because I think it would be badass. We probably could find one on YouTube. It shouldn't take
I've
long.
looked. I can't. Like,
Really?
I need, like, 4 people, and, like, one person's, doing da 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 da, and then the next one picks up with it, and it just keeps building. Like, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
It needs to happen.
Get on that, YouTube, people. Come on, YouTube. Come through.
I don't know, maybe if we get enough people together when you're here visiting in a couple weeks, we can actually do that.
I had to study this. I had to study the music. Which I could do. I could prepare for that. Yeah. Yes, everybody.
We'll have enough drunk people at my birthday.
I'm going to go see Mr. Giver in the coming weeks, and you'll be hearing the episode, hopefully for Optional Opinion and for World 11. Can't wait. We just talked about stuff that we're going to be doing and planning and stuff, and I'm so geeked out and I'm so really nerd out about it. Our very good old friend Adrian Nieto will be here soon. Hopefully he'll be able to join us.
Really.
Yeah, he had some things to do, but we're going to go on without him for right now, and hopefully he joins in. So we're actually going to get into our topics for today. Our first topic, and this is kind of...
Topic, Panda Express sucks, kill it with fire. Topic 1, done.
So our first topic is what's wrong with eating Panda Express. Let me give some context before we give judgment and start talking about Chinese
This is
food.
the show where we now just talk about Chinese food and not video games anymore.
Exactly. So this past week, I decided to go to GameStop, and I picked up some video games, Resident Evil 5 and Just Cause 3. And I mentioned that while I'm going to get some games, I said that I was going to go get some Chinese food, and Panda Express was like close to my GameStop. So when people found out I was going to Panda Express, I kind of got a negative reaction from some people.
Panda Express is terrible.
So I'm going to turn over to Mr. Larry Giver and explain why Panda Express is terrible.
Panda Express is god-awful. It's like the armpit of Chinese food, no matter where you go. Like, every place in existence, except for apparently fucking Kalamazoo, we discovered, has, like, a really good, at least one really good fucking Chinese place. That means that there is exactly zero excuse to go to Panda Express, because you could be going to an awesome Chinese place, unless you're in Kalamazoo, which is somehow the exception to the rule of the universe. And Kalamazoo just has no good Chinese food anywhere. So, that's why. Panda Express sucks. Kill it with fire.
Now, do you think Panda Express is too manufactured as like American cuisine?
No, I just think their Chinese food sucks.
Wow. But you know what? I actually buy Panda Express when I'm at Great America. Like, I don't get it normally. Like, I think the last time I had Panda Express, besides getting the games at GameStop, I probably had it a year and a half ago. And so I think that was the last time when I went to Six Flags, where they sell their food at. I went in and got Panda Express. That's the last time I had it besides last week. And I know some people like it, some people don't like it. I know for me, do have some local Chinese places up here that sells some really, really good Chinese food. And I usually get like their kind of lunch combos. Like fried rice with like their greens, onions, and like beef, or pork fouillon and stuff like that. Oh, sorry about that, everybody. I get stuff like that to eat. Panda Express though, it was kind of good. I had the grilled chicken teriyaki. I don't know what kind of fried rice they gave me. I can't. I'm just like, what is this?
No, it's disgusting. Like, everyone should be obligated to eat Panda Express once a year just to remind themselves that it's a terrible idea and not to do it.
But a lot of people go there and eat it.
A lot of people are stupid.
Well, no, they're not stupid.
Anyone listening, don't take that personally. Just know that there are a lot of stupid people that do stupid things because they don't know better.
They haven't had good Chinese food.
Exactly.
Let's say,
like, if you live in Kalamazoo, you're excused. If you live in Kalamazoo and you've never been anywhere else, you're excused because apparently Kalamazoo does not have any good Chinese food anywhere. But beyond that, there's no fucking excuse for that kind of behavior.
And it's very weird. Every time I go up to Wisconsin, I go see my friend. I don't see no kind of Chinese places around there. Like Panda Express. Like there was one Chinese place that I seen, and it was by like their local Target. But like some real like wonton hop, Mapasai YouTube Chinese place. Like some like the name sounds weird. It kind of looks low budget, but it has the bomb food, like Chinese food there. Like I didn't see none of that.
You'll always find the best Chinese food at like weird little hole in the wall places.
Yes. It is so weird because it makes
that's totally the case here. Like the Chinese place that I was telling you about, dude. Holy shit! It's this raggedy little hole in the wall, but oh my god, the food is so good, dude. When I was married the first time, I used to go there so often. I didn't have to order anymore. I just walk in the door, and the very nice little Chinese lady that works there saw me walk in and would just walk in back and start making my food. I'm not even kidding. I didn't have to. There was a point where I didn't have to tell her what I wanted to eat anymore. She just started making me food whenever she saw me walk in the door. Wow. That was a real thing.
There are people like that. Like, if you've been to their establishment for so many times, and it gets to a point where they know what you're going to order, and sometimes they look like what you are in the mood for, they'll just go back and make it and bring it out to you. Like, or they'll just tell you, you want a number 2 with this. Yeah, how did you know? You've been ordering it for the last 2 months. They'll be like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was awesome. So, but yeah, oh my god, their crab cheese wontons are to die for.
Ooh.
Their fried dumplings are amazing. Their wonton soup is the tits.
Wonton soup is
General Tso's. It's just so good.
Everybody, some good wonton soup will just, for me personally, it feels good. It fills me with joy. Like, it not only puts me to sleep, but I just be like, I kind of want some more. Like, I want to eat like a whole medium bowl of wonton soup.
Oh yeah,
it's that good. Which brings us to another story that I have. I actually got to try ramen last Saturday. So I
like proper ramen, not cup of noodles ramen.
Proper ramen. Mine was miso flavored. So they had soy sauce, roast beef, the ramen noodles, the soup that they used was really thick, was really good. And I ate everything with chopsticks. They didn't give me no fork or anything. They gave me chopsticks and they gave me a spoon. So I ate it the way that it was meant to be eaten, like the way that they made it. I was so happy because I watch a lot of anime, and when they have the ramen, they got the fish tail or fish thing, and it's the white little with the pink swirl in it. It's like a little kind of decoration, and I got to eat it. Paid like $10 for it. Because I got a medium bowl, and it was really good. Like, I was like really geek. Even the mushrooms that was in it was like nice. I'm like, what is this good flavor? Just like, I was so shocked to eat that. Compared to the 39-cent 3-minute rice ramen bowl.
Cup noodles,
yeah. Now don't get me wrong, it's flavorful, but that ramen bowl, I was just like, dang, you could really taste the difference.
Oh yeah. So, but yeah, that's we're gonna have a bar and a food night when you come out to visit, and you know, like you said, you'll get to see the bar where my wife and I met.
Oh,
We met at Bleachers.
Oh, I cannot wait to see this place. I hope it's really big because
It is actually. Bleachers is this awesome bar. It's a 1-story bar, but it's a 3-room bar. And like I was telling you, they've been renovating over the last couple of years. They've done some really cool shit. But you walk in, and there's the main room, and it used to be the main room had like a wall separating it from the main bar, so there was just a doorway to get to from the main room to the main bar. They kicked down that wall, and so now it's just open right into the main bar. And so you walk in, front room, dartboards, a pool table, bunch of tables, and then the main bar behind it. When you get to the main bar, if you swing a left, there's a full pool hall with like 12 tables running all night long.
Nice.
And the main bar now extends out into the pool room. It like curves around the back wall, and then if you go the other direction, if you head off to the right, there's a karaoke room with a second bar in it that they run karaoke 7 nights a week. And like I was telling you, man, they've got a really good mix of people that can, honest to God, actually sing really well. And the selection is fucking spectacular. Like I said, I know it's going to be a Friday night. It's going to be absolutely batshit insane in there. But the bar in there was one of the first renovations that they did a couple of years ago. They kicked out the back wall at the back of that bar, expanded it back, and for years the owner had been saving glass bottle tops from 1800 tequila.
Yeah. And
they redid the overhead on the bar with all those glass bottle tops as glass bricks and like backlit it with color changing lights and shit, and it's awesome.
Ooh.
But the latest renovation, when they took out the wall between the main bar and the pool room and expanded the bar around the corner, that's when they put in all the new taps. And like I said, they've got like 150 or so beer taps, and most of them are all loaded with just all kinds of craft beers. Because the owner's son and nephew both work there, and they're huge beer nuts. And so they basically get to, you know, tell dad, it's like, hey, we want to stock this, and this. And, you know, they kind of almost get free reign to, you know, make the selections on what's getting put on tap on those 150 taps. So,
wow.
It's impressive. Not to mention, it's probably one of the cheapest bars in town to boot. So, like I said, you get this weird eclectic mix of fucking everybody. Like old people and domers, which are college kids around the area because we're right by Notre Dame. So, you know, there are bars that are almost strictly like domer bars, but Bleachers gets that weird mix of everything.
Wow. Oh,
it's
so
just
excited.
It's a good place. So, but I mean, it's always fun to see, you know, what they're trying in the main room too from time, because they've had different things. Like they've had this like kind of arcade beer pong machine. It was had fucking skee ball in the main room.
Wait,
So,
what?
Yeah.
Skee ball?
Yeah. They had a fucking skee ball machine up in the main room at one point. A couple years ago.
I probably would have been on that mug all night seeing what tickets I could win.
They had a thing up there where if you got, like X amount of score or better, you get like a $5 or $10 gift certificate for the bar.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So not only did you have fucking skee ball and booze, but you could win more booze. Yeah, that's the thing. And their bar food there is really good. I mean, it's standard bar food, but I've never had anything bad there. But personal favorite though, their wings are fucking awesome.
Oh, see, that's what I want to try, like the bar food. I love bar food. I can't admit that. And usually I kind of look like sometimes the nachos and cheese and stuff like that are fine. But I'm like, do you got anything a little bit heavier, like cheeseburgers? Like if they have a cheeseburger on there, I'm getting that.
Oh, dude, the sticky burger. The sticky burger is epic. Mm-hmm. It's a cheeseburger with pepper jack cheese and bacon and peanut butter.
Wait, what?
Yes. Dude, the sticky burger is awesome.
My stomach might be upset.
We're so getting your ass a sticky burger when you get there.
Oh, my stomach is going to be upset. That's all I can say. Well,
it's so delicious.
Oh, that sounds so good. It sounds crazy, but I love me some good pepper jack, like pepper jack cheese.
Like the pepper jack isn't anything special. I mean, like you said, it all works together so well.
Well, if it gives me a good spicy kick and the peanut butter is the sweetness to it, because the bacon is just going to be the bacon. The bacon is just going to be delish.
Yeah.
But if the pepper jack and the peanut butter works well, like it's a really good combo, I'm on it. I'm just like, yeah, I might have to before I leave Indiana. If trust me, if it's bomb, not only would I be taking food from the party home, I'll probably have to stop by Bleachers and be like, I need a burger to go. So, but we're gonna actually move on to our second topic.
That's where we actually start talking about video game stuff.
Yes. And this one is not very
political. Not just like creaming ourselves over food.
We'll have a discussion about food one day. I think we'll have an episode where we just talk about food and probably like seeing food in video games that we want to try in real life. Because that's how sometimes I do see some food. Like, there was something like Muramasa Blade, the Muramasa, the Demon Blade on Wii U and Vita. I seen some of the food over there and I'm just be like, okay, this is real life food. And I'll be like, oh, I really want to try this. So yeah, we'll probably do an episode like that. We'll all probably come up with our own list of food that we just love to eat and then compare it to like food in video games that we wish was real or we wish we could have. Cause I still don't understand how in Final Fight I could kick a trash can and a full roasted turkey comes out. Like, like beat 'em ups were okay. Before we get to our second topic, beat 'em ups are the weirdest games to have food in them to give you energy.
Oh yeah.
Because it's just like, okay, I'm in an abandoned warehouse. Where the heck did this big box have this little thing of grapes? Like, really? Like, who does that?
At least Battletoads was kind of honest about it. It wasn't just food laying everywhere. It was like flies floating around.
Oh, yeah. Did you get to beat folks up with a bone that you just, from an animal that you just beat? That gang. But let's get to our second topic.
Yeah.
I love Battletoads. It's just so difficult. I swear that game is so difficult.
Yeah, but it's so good.
I know, but once you get past the motorbike race part, and for anyone who has not listened to our extreme racing episode, give that a listen, and you will hear us talk about Battletoads and other great extreme racing games like F-Zero. Wish that would come back. But yeah, once you get past that part in Battletoads, you feel accomplished. But then you gotta jump those snakes, and I'm like, oh, are you serious?
I miss Battletoads.
It'll come back someday. But let's finally get to our second topic. The simulated violence.
Hey, that's
The simulated violence in this gameplay create criminals. And one of our great friends, Professor Panty Drop, Mr. Tony Zilakakis, was asking us kind of about gun control. And we gave our thoughts, but I kind of wanted to turn it to actually simulated violence. Definitely when there's like school shootings and stuff like that. And we normally don't talk about things like this. I know some people get upset about it, but I never asked the question.
I talk about shit, but you know, that's different.
Right. I mean, we never asked the question of why people think that simulated violence and the gameplay creates criminals, or believe the fact that if you play a certain video game, you become expert at shooting, driving, killing, like just simulated stuff. Like, why do you think people believe that?
Because people, two reasons. One, people are stupid and people want a scapegoat. It's honestly that simple. It's ungodly dumb. For those that haven't seen it, a number of years ago, Penn and Teller did a spectacular episode on the subject. Go watch it. For the life of me, I can't remember what season it was. I think it was like season 4 or 5 of their show that was on Showtime called Bullshit. And if any of you have Amazon Prime, Penn and Teller's Bullshit is available on Amazon Prime. I think there's a couple of odd episodes missing from the Prime subscription, but I do know the video game violence episode is up there. Yeah, watch it. It's good. One of my favorite parts of that show is this idiot that they're talking to who's out at, like, I think he was at an E4All convention when that was still a thing, when they were trying to split E3 in 2 at one point.
Yeah.
And in any case, this idiot was out there, you know, handing out flyers about, you know, the fire triangle, how, you know, it school shootings and things come about when 3 things come together: violent video games and troubled kids and guns. They basically break it down piece by piece, and you end up with no triangle. You end up with a fucking stick, because they'll sit there and they point out, it's like, well, you know, you know, school shootings, mass murders have, you know, been happening long since before video games. So we can take video games out of the equation. That's not required, obviously. Let's see. Some of the biggest mass killings were done without guns. So we can take guns out of the equation. Now you're down to troubled kid. And as we know, some of the most severe mass killings were not committed by kids. They were committed by fucking adults. So you're just left with a stick that says troubled. That's it. That's all there is to it. Troubled. Everything else just piles on potentially, but is not necessitated for any sort of, you know, mass attack on the civilian population. So there you have it. Yeah, it's stupid. People are dumb. Uneducated people are dumb. There are those that love to live in just their ignorant little bubble, and, you know, will never come out of it. And they just want a scapegoat to point to that says that, you know, yeah, I'm not the problem. And then you can turn around and go, yes, you are. So, yeah, that's kind of my thought on the subject. I think it's retarded. And that's why.
Exactly. And I just feel like, why do you believe that if you pick up a controller versus picking up an item in real life, like picking up a controller versus picking up a gun, are 2 separate things? Like, a gun doesn't have the control input of a video game controller. A video game controller don't have the input of... Yes, everybody, I am going to be shooting a gun in 2 more weeks. And I'm nervous yet excited about that. But you know,
we're popping here, boys and girls.
But you know what? It's going to be, to me...
We're doing it safely. We're going out to an indoor range. I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to be, keeping an eye and, helping them out and teaching them so that way it's done safely and, in controlled circumstances. We're not just going out into somebody's backyard and shooting off fucking beer cans off a fence. So, with nobody around. Proper protection and everything, accounted for. So for those of you that think I'm just a lunatic asshole, which, I kind of am a lunatic asshole, but in this instance, I do firmly believe in educated use and safety when it comes to guns. Do I like guns? Yes. Am I nuts about their use? No, I'm pretty sane when it comes to. I believe that, you should be educated. You may not like it. You may choose to never own one, but you should at least know how to use it.
Correct. Being responsible.
Amen, brother.
And I talked to my cousin in Texas about this, and we didn't have a debate, but we just talked, with background checks and all of that other stuff. But this is going to be, for me personally, it's going to be a good experience. It's going to give me actually more research of me shooting a real gun versus shooting a gun in Borderlands or Call of Duty or GoldenEye 64. Like, I'll be able to, hopefully I could be able to tell the difference. I know when I shoot the real gun, it doesn't make me it doesn't make me an expert or wants me to become like a killer or something. Like, I've been playing first person shooters for a long time. Metroid Prime is like one of my favorites. It's a first person action, I like to call it. First person adventure. I can't really call it a shooter. It has a shooter mechanic, but the Prime example, the Prime games are so good, but that doesn't make me an expert at shooting. It makes me an expert at playing the Prime series.
Yeah, it's a vastly different experience, but I firmly believe it's one that everybody should have. I know full well that when my daughter is old enough, I will take her and I will teach her how to shoot. I suspect somewhere between the age of probably 8 and 12. Truthfully, I remember when I was a kid, learning how to shoot a rifle for the first time, and I wasn't terrified of it, but, it taught me proper respect for a firearm, and, it's something that I firmly believe should be instilled, and when I take her out, I'll probably take her out with, like, my dad's .22, just because it's not anything super scary. It doesn't have a whole lot of kick. It's something that's very easy to handle. That even as a young kid, she would be able to handle, firing off without any major problems. What I'm taking out with you, my 9mm handgun, has considerably more kick than my dad's .22 long rifle does. But it's nothing that you can't handle. But I don't know that I would, put it in my daughter's hands, even at like 10 or 12 years old. I'd want her to, at least have something that she can handle, but still, grasp the concept and the comprehension of that, yes, it's a gun. This is what it does. So. Yes.
And it's good training. It's good education. For her to get used to it and to like learn it and know about it. Like, I don't think that video games or simulated violence and games, like, it doesn't create you to be a killer or anything like that. You could probably get an idea, but it's just supposed to present a fantasy world of fun. Like, there's just two different levels of entertainment, or that, not two levels of entertainment. It's a different kind of entertainment that you get from playing a first-person shooter, or even something like Mortal Kombat or Bayonetta. Like some mature games, there's a different experience that you get than doing stuff in real life. Like, there's no way if you play Bayonetta, you're now an expert at martial arts and doing quick combos. Like, you're not that experienced or that quick.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not a super gun nut, but I do believe in, education and intelligence when it comes to. But, for me, I keep a handgun in the house, and, it's not because I want to have, guns galore. I own one gun. That's it. That's perfectly fine for me. I've got something that I can take out for my own personal enjoyment to go out shooting at the range. But primarily, why I bought it a couple of years ago, I used to work in a real shitty town, and like I was telling you earlier, I used to sell diamonds for a living, and like I said, I was not in a great town by any means. I was working in Elkhart, Indiana, and for anybody that knows, Elkhart is a fucking shithole. That's where class and decency go to die. But beyond that, it's not necessarily the safest city either. It really kind of sucks. But so ever since I was working there, and working nights, which meant I was taking, sizable cash drops with me physically from from the store to the bank, I'm like, I think I should, pick something up for my own personal protection. And it was kind of a back burner issue until while I was working in Elkhart, there was a shooting at a local Martin supermarket, which is just a local chain of supermarkets that we have here. And a couple people were killed, and one of them happened to be a friend of mine, actually, was lost to a shooter at that location. And it went from a back burner issue to, we're heading out in a week or so, and I'm picking something up now. Because again, that was that same city. That was, a couple miles from where I worked. And, given that I was, like I said, transporting oftentimes large sums of cash on my person at night, that was that's the thing. But in any case, like I said, it's one of those things that I have it in my house for, my personal protection. I actually, I'm not going to lie, got a little spooked a couple weeks ago. I came home, and my wife was home already, and she was in the bedroom playing with the baby. But I came home and walked in the door, and I saw that the garage door was open, like not the big garage door, but just the regular door to the garage. Yeah. And I'm like, sweetheart, why is the garage door open? Were you in the garage? And she says, no. So I whipped it out and went out, because at that point I had no idea who was, potentially in my garage where they didn't fucking belong and what they were doing there. Turned out she had been out in the garage the day before and just didn't shut the door tight, and the high winds kicked it open. But it's one of those things. I got a wife and a child to make sure are safe, and so I don't fuck around with that. But again, I make sure that I'm educated, I know what I'm doing, and I'm safe.
Right. The last part of the question that I want to ask, and then we're going to go on a break. Why is it the most dumbest logic some adults believe? Like, why most journalists, and I'm pretty much going to put it out there, Fox News, like, why are they the dumb ones that really be trying to be poured on it and get people to believe that kids who play M-rated games and stuff like that will be killers and stuff like this, and then you see most of the adults do worse crimes that never played a video game at all. In fact, Fox News' very own CEO was allegedly, well, he resigned because of he was being allegedly sexual harassment or assault or something like that. I think sexual harassment. Just like your own boss, who allegedly did something to a lot of females. He's never played a video game, and he did worse stuff than Grand Theft Auto. Like, he is a 70, 80-year-old man, old dude, messing around with women, harassing them sexually. Like, really?
Honestly, I think a lot of that concept and perspective has gone away in the last 5 or 10 years, probably closer to 5, but it's not something that you really hear talked about anymore. And I'll put it out there. I'm sure I'm going to offend a lot of people in their concept of me. But, you know, I don't watch Fox News, but I do listen to some of the Fox News radio talk around here. And there are shows that I prefer to others, because I do think, you know, there are some of them that are a little more level-headed, and for those that have not had the opportunity, I would say the one that I would recommend checking out, give them a listen for like a week. But I really do like listening to Lars Larson, actually. And the reason being is that throughout the day, on a regular weekday, our local Fox affiliate runs like 3 major talk shows, and then Lars comes on in the evening. But they run Sean Hannity in the morning, Rush Limbaugh in the afternoon, and Sean Hannity in the evening, and Lars is on late at night. But, you know, the first 3 always run, you know, just variants on the same shit that's going on. Lars is a lot more level-headed, and he talks about a lot more, like, individual and personal stuff, you know, how larger scale, you know, government politics having effect, you know, regular everyday people on a normal, you know, personal level instead. And it's really worth a listen. Even if it's not your side of politics, I do recommend at least give his show a consistent listen for like a week. Check him out. But, you know, again, he's one of those that's very, very big on Second Amendment rights, but he's also very big on, you know, responsible ownership. You know, but the other thing that the narrative has changed from is, you know, it's not so much a case anymore of, you know, let's blame it on video games, but there's a lot more sensible things going on that are being pointed out. You know, look at how many of the mass shootings that have occurred lately, you know, what's one big thing they all have in common? They're quote-unquote gun-free zones. What does that mean? That means that whoever's walking in there with a gun knows that any other law-abiding citizen doesn't have one to stop them. You know, and that's one of the biggest things that these guys are all pointing out. And, you know, you may or may not like their politics, but I'm sorry. There's logic staring you in the face. You can either stick your head in the sand and ignore it, or you can go, maybe that's a problem we should fix.
Exactly.
But, you know, there you go. And it doesn't mean that everybody there has to be carrying a gun, but don't tell a criminal that no one has one. Just leave the possibility that one person might have one, and put one right between his eyes if he tries to take out everybody there. Just saying. Look, I found a little larva.
Oh, it's Larry's baby, everybody. Looking at me.
Say hi,
like, I'll be down there 2 weeks to come see you.
I'm gonna come visit you. Mwah.
And with that, everybody, we're gonna take a break and we'll be right back.
I'm done with politics for now.
Let me tell you, boy, that I know. And he stands so high on a pedestal. Look at him, doesn't he look beautiful? And he's got 2 faces, 2 sides. Yeah, well, the burden in him coincide. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry for this imperfection. Sorry for this imperfection. My heart's grown tired. While this infection, oh,
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to World 11 Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Eddie V, the Chocolate Thunder Red Wonder. Joining me with, again, on some good video game discussion is Big Papa himself, Larry Giver, and our Caramel Mexican has came back.
It's our Maple Snorlax now.
Our Maple Lax.
That's right.
Our good friend Adrian Nieto is back. Hey, Adrian.
I'm moving countries just so you guys will stop calling me that.
Oh.
It's his milk in a bag.
I'm moving to the UK now.
Don't worry, we'll come up with something for that too.
Exactly.
Oh, jeez.
Hello,
everyone.
A Brixican.
Our European equation or something like that.
He'll be a Brixican.
Yeah. God.
Did you like Tony's fourth nickname that I put Professor Panty Drop?
Yeah, of course.
That shit was spectacular.
That's fantastic.
So, before we get to our last two topics, we're going to jump into Indie Watch with our very own Adrian. Let us know what's your Indie Watch, dude.
All right, so for those who don't know or that are joining us for the first time, Indie Watch is a small segment that we have where we basically talk indie games that are coming up, that are out, or that we're just excited about. So recently I got the Toy Box key for Yooka-Laylee, since I was a backer back in last year when they started the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And my God, I was excited to get a toy box. I didn't go to the office in the morning. I spent all morning playing my toy box demo, and it was just fantastic. Like, that game is in very good hands. Like, it feels so much of Banjo-Kazooie, yet it's so different at the same time. It's just unbelievable. It's just super fun to play. I'm not as scared as I was of Mighty Number 9. I think if they continue, like if they just expand on what they show so far, that will be okay. Like the toy box, which is not a demo, it's like a complete separate, like standalone world where you collect 100 quills and then you get a Pagey. It's like it's its own thing, right? Like it doesn't have anything of the main game except for the techniques that you use to traverse throughout the world.
Uh-huh.
So that was super fun. So if they keep it that way, I think this game is going to be awesome. It plays so well. I played it on my PC using an Xbox 360 controller, and like I knew where everything was. Like I didn't have to like check the tutorial or anything. Like I knew, all right, this I'm running with this, I'm jumping with this, I'm double jumping with this, I'm attacking with this. Like everything, like came back to me from the one time that I played Banjo-Kazooie using a Xbox 360 controller. Like everything was exactly where it was supposed to be, and it's just like it feels so great. I got everything. Like I got the 100 quills and the Pagey, and they teased me with like a little hidden. It was like a button or something that you have to activate that is hidden somewhere in the world. And for the life of me, I spent 3 hours trying to find that one missing puzzle, and I couldn't figure out where it was. So I'm excited to keep playing it and put some more hours in it and figure out what the last secret is, because I have no idea what's hidden there. It's just like it's an extra thing, and I just want to find out by myself and figure out what it is, basically.
What if it ends up being like one of those things where it doesn't actually make any sense and you just kind of have to brute force it? Like what happened with some of the last puzzles in Fez?
I mean, I guess it can be a possibility. Like, I don't want to spoil anything, right? But it's when they show you that little like hidden secret, it's just like a little square snapshot. Like you have no idea of what's going on around it, but it's very identifiable. Like you know that it's surrounded by a bunch of yellow things. And I was like, all right, it shouldn't be too hard to find like a block of yellow stuff. and it turns out that it is. So, I'm gonna give it a go. Probably when I wake up after my nap right now because I'm super tired, and then see if I can find it.
So are the controls?
But the game looks awesome. It plays awesome. Everybody should be super excited about this. I don't think the backers nor the people that buy the game are gonna get burned as they did with Mario number 9, which is a good thing.
All right, so the controls are really tight, like really, like oh man, it's just like smooth.
It is, dude. Like it totally. It's like it feels. Well, so the thing here is that back when we were doing the Banjo-Kazooie discussion for the NBC Book Club, my N64 controller just gave. It just died. It went to the next plane, and it was just all right. I mean, it was good for 20 years. It had to die at some point, and that was okay, right? Like things break. That's totally fine. But I couldn't find a replacement controller quick or for cheap. So what I did was, and I'm very sorry, but I had to use an emulator, so I played on my PC using my Xbox 360 controller, right? And the way I laid out the buttons, which was the way that makes sense in my head, was the same way that Yooka-Laylee is like laid out for the game using the 360 controller as well. So like something tells me that the people at Playtonic went and they played Banjo-Kazooie on PC as well, using an Xbox 360 controller, and they were like, all right, where does it make sense to have these very familiar moves on the 360 controller? And they nailed it. Like, everything was exactly where it was supposed to be. And it just feels right, to be honest. It's just, like, it feels really good. And other than the running, which is kind of awkward for myself, maybe it's just because I'm bad. Other than that, the entire game is just unbelievably fun. Like, I cannot wait to get more of the game.
Oh, you know what? I didn't even know that they put it out there. Like, it dropped. Like, you were the first one to say that. Oh, I got the demo. I'm like, what? Toy box demo for what? Like, I didn't even know that they had planned that to bring it out.
Yeah, so they showed the toy box first at E3 2016. Mm-hmm. So they showed it there, and I kind of knew how it looked because of that. But of course, we hadn't played it as backers. We knew we were getting the toy box. That was one of the reward levels that we were promised to get. So of course, I was waiting for that, and they announced on their big update a while ago when we talked about Yooka-Laylee. I think it was, I don't know, like 2 months ago or something like that. Anyway, they said, they said the toy box is coming in sometime in July. Stay tuned. We're going to be sending the codes and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, cool. July, that's awesome. But like somehow, like it just, like it flew out of my mind. Like I didn't remember the exact date. I wasn't counting the days or anything, right? Like I just woke up one morning, checking my emails on my bed as I do every day, and I was just Playtonic games, like Kickstarter, alert, blah, 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 and I was like, hold on, don't tell me, and I checked the email, and it was that, and I just, like, I flipped. I got off my bed, I think I put some Pop-Tarts on my, to heat up while I was installing the game and getting my stuff right, and then I used to spend the entire morning, like, I called the guys at the office and said, like, hey, I'm going to be very late today because I'm playing the Yooka-Laylee demo, and I have to finish it before I go to the office. And that's all I did that morning. Like, I took a morning for myself, and I was eating Pop-Tarts, and I was drinking iced tea. I was just playing that, and it's so unbelievable awesome. Like, oh my God, it's just, I'm super excited for this game. It's a shame that it's got delayed for next year, but I'm okay with that.
I'm literally jealous that you got to play it, because I'm just like, because I love platforming games, and now just hearing you talk about it, I kind of want it. Like, it stopped being in the back of my mind. You know, I got so flustered with The Legend of Zelda Breath of Fire and all these other games that I kind of forgot about Yooka-Laylee. But when you start talking about it, and the way that you make it sound, like how tight the controls are, how fun it is, it's gonna kind of throw me back, and and I know it's a day one purchase for me. like the day they announced the release date, like finalize it, and it's on the eShop, I'm just going to upright buy it. Like, I cannot wait for this game.
Yeah, it's funny how we have so many other games coming up, like Zelda and stuff, and the Wii U, it's kind of like at the end of the life cycle. The NX, I mean, it's coming sometime, and that's great. And I just get these like shiny little demo of a game, and I get so excited about it. I stopped caring about everything else, and I was just playing that.
Right. That's so awesome, so awesome. So that's our Indie Watch. Yooka-Laylee is out next year. Is it coming out for? I know it's coming out for the platforms, but are they releasing it at 3 different releases? Like I think Nintendo was first, and then everybody else is second, or is everybody being released on the same day?
If I'm not mistaken, I think is PC, Mac, and Linux first.
Uh-huh.
Then they promised Wii U, PS4, and Xbox One together. So
okay,
yeah,
nice, very nice. So we're going to get into our second half topic about indie games getting a physical copy release. Adrian, take it away because you asked this question. So I'm going to let you moderate this discussion for this part.
Yeah, for sure. So the reason why this question kind of like was brought to the table was because the people that made SteamWorld Dig and SteamWorld Heist are releasing a physical release for Wii U. I think it's Wii U only. I may be mistaken, but it's on Wii U, and it's going to have both the games together on one disc. And I think they're also publishing Fast Racing Neo, which is just like unbelievable to me. Like I'm very excited about that. Like again, we've talked about Fast Racing Neo on this show before, and we wanted to play it. Like I wanted to play it, and I want to play it with Larry. So getting the physical release, it's just gonna be like the perfect opportunity for me to play. Also, Rumble is getting
Neo coming out.
Yeah, I know, man. Like we're gonna play it.
They said there's gonna be new tracks on the physical release.
Fantastic!
Ooh.
I'm all over that.
Hell yes.
So, those 3 games are coming. Rumble, we talk a little bit about it as well. It's also getting a physical release on 3DS and Wii U. Shovel Knight came out a while ago already. I think Shantae is also coming out very soon as well. And well, just the question it basically is like, how do we feel about these indie games getting physical releases? Like, do we like it? Do we don't like it? Are there any games that we would like to see as a physical release as well? I have like, let's try to say maybe like our top indie game, like just do one indie game just to move the conversation going a lot faster.
That shit.
Yeah, no, I can come up with a list too, but I think if we go for just one, it's easier to move the conversation along.
Well, Larry, I'm gonna let you go first.
Honestly, I think the very top of my list that I want a physical release for, I still want a physical release for Castle Crashers.
That would be a fantastic game to get a physical release, especially because I think they remaster it for like Xbox One and stuff. Like, it will make sense for them to do like a physical release on Xbox One, maybe a Wii U, PS4, PC as well. Like, I played it on PC, of course, but I would like to play it on my Wii U, especially if it has online as well, so we can like each of us buy a copy and we all play together. That will be fantastic.
Yeah,
I will never understand why that game didn't come out on the Wii back when, because it should have. That
I think
be written all over it.
I think it was because of the engine they use.
Well, probably because of Alien Hominid didn't sell well on GameCube. But that was the first time them even bringing a console game. and it wasn't. They didn't really market it that well because Alien Hominid was a Flash game on PC. Like they were only making like Flash games on PC, so probably they needed something a little bit more powerful, and maybe the Wii U wasn't going to give them, not the Wii U, the Wii wasn't going to give them what they really wanted in that game. So probably just that. Like they probably didn't have a. Like, cause I think when they came out for PS3 and 360, I don't think WiiWare was going just yet.
No, but it could have come later, and it never did, and that made me sad. Because that's one of those that I think would have fit the platform very well.
Like it really would have fit better on Wii U also. Like off TV play, having like all the characters, like when you go, if you want to switch around, it could tell you your stats and your experience points and stuff like that. Like that would have been good on the gamepad. Like Castle Crashers would have fit very well on the Wii U.
Oh yeah,
I think it's mostly because of that. What Eddie said, like the Wii didn't have the online structure that Castle Crashers required to play online with people. And I think that was really the main reason why it didn't make it to the Wii. No clue why they didn't bring it to the Wii U. Maybe they just figured the Wii U is not selling that well, so the game is not going to sell much there. They have a fair point if that was the reason. But I think it will have fit. Like, just imagine how many controller schemes you could have used for Castle Crashers on Wii U. You could have used the gamepad, Pro Controller, the Classic Controller, the Wii Sideways, the Wii and the Wii Mode, the Classic Controller Pro. Like, so many different controller schemes. Will make that game awesome.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It is a shame that it didn't make it to the Wii U at least, but yeah, that is an amazing pick. Like, I will be all over a physical release of Castle Crashers for sure. What about you, Eddie?
I got to throw one more out
because
I can't not put it out there. Why on God's green? I want a physical copy of Fez.
Yeah, we've talked about this, man. The Fez, nothing else is gonna happen with Fez. Fez is dead forever.
Stop me from wanting it.
You know what?
I want a physical copy of Fez.
Yeah, I think Fez would work. I think Fez needs a physical copy because I think I don't know if a lot of problems at the end of that game got fixed, and I think a console release of it, they could go in and fix the problems.
The guy doesn't want to work in the game anymore. That's the problem, Eddie.
Yeah,
but you know what? He could give it if he would have sold that game to a publisher, and you know the developers got into that game and you know was really big about it. They could have fixed the problems and brought it out to multiple platforms. It just didn't have to stay as a 360 title.
He's an artist, man. And it's not only on 360. It's on PS4. It's on PS Vita. It's on. I think it's even on Wii U. Like it's on pretty much everything.
It never made it to Nintendo.
Yeah.
No, never made it to Nintendo. Well, it's also on PC though. So
yeah. But yeah, he could.
Yeah, but he's the guy is an artist. He wouldn't have sold it. I wouldn't have sold it either.
I would have, if he, because him having all those problems and stuff and having a headache of a game like that, I would have just sold it to a developer so they could handle it, and I could feel good that I made a product like that, but I don't have to deal with the criticism and with the public knowing how they are towards me as a person, as a creator, like all the social media stuff. Like I wouldn't, if I was the creator, I wouldn't have to go. I wouldn't have to deal with that. You know, I'm just saying that would have been me. I would have just sold it and made some money. Like,
yeah, I think too. What happened with him and his former partner left a bad taste in his mouth in regards to ownership rights type issues with that game too.
Yeah, it was all a big mess. I don't blame him for just not wanting to do anything else.
Yeah.
Just moving on.
My only complaint with that was that, you know, they dropped the tease that Fez 2 was coming, and within a week says, you know what, fuck it, I quit. I'm like, no, don't tease me that this could have been a thing and then it's not. Don't do that. But
yeah, well,
here it is. It happened.
I think you have to look at all the stories that Phil Fish is connected to I think get the full understanding about Fez, because I think I don't think it was the game fault that he left. I think it was just the reactions in a way.
Oh no, it had everything to do with the community.
Yeah, I'm saying the game itself. It like Fez itself didn't have nothing to do with it not being a sequel being made or anything like that, because a lot of people gave Fez critically acclaimed reviews. Like it's still one of still really good puzzle indie game.
Oh, yeah.
And when people play it, they would be like, okay, you have to give props to the guy or to the people who made this game, and because I'm including his ex partner in it. Like, they really made a solid game. And you can't, you as a gamer can't deny that. You might not like the creator and some of his antics or whatever, but you gotta give it up to him and be like, he's really talented and he really put a lot of work into a game like this.
No, absolutely agreed. They made a brilliant game, and like I said, I think it came down to issues with how the community treated him.
Yeah.
That he left, which is sad.
So it's just the way it is, really.
Assholes, this is why we can't have nice things.
Pretty much, yeah. Right, Eddie, what's your top pick for physical release?
My top pick. See, because I might get in trouble for this one. I kind of want to say Bionic Commando, but I'm not.
That's not an indie game.
That's why I said I might get in trouble, so that's why I said not. And I was going to explain why I chose Bionic Commando, because even though it's a Capcom product, I felt like it was the reboot, and the second one, and having the original one. Putting all three games on a disc, when I think about it, even though it's not indie, that's more of a compilation disc. So that's why I didn't choose it. I thought it would fit for a Bionic Commando compilation indie game, but it's not. So my game actually would be Guacamelee.
Guacamelee totally deserves a physical release. I agree.
And you can put it on the Champion Turbo Edition. That's fine. It's such a great design game. Beautiful artwork. One of the first indie games that I kind of bought for my PlayStation 3 that I was really looking forward to. And I got really happy that it came to Wii U and other platforms. And I feel like it's a game that does the Metroidvania style of game design very well. I love turning to the chicken and just running fast, but I love the fact that mixing the wrestling moves and finding the powers and stuff, and like just the real good boss fights in that game. It was just done so well. Like I feel like they studied the Metroid design to the T. And they do pay homage to Nintendo with some of the signs and stuff. Like if you pay attention and know what nerdy stuff they kind of put into that game, you would see the love that they have for Nintendo. And I just think they're very talented. Drinkbox Studios. I think they're just very talented, and I believe that game needs to be on a CD, on a physical release. And I can tell you why these indie games need to be on a physical release, because there are some parents and some gamers who still to this day will not buy a game digital, and they're missing on a lot of good content that these indie designers and studios provide. Like even at my job, I tell them that about the eShop stuff. Like if they're not buying Super Mario Brothers 3D World on physical on eShop, because you can't find no physical copies nowhere. They'll just be like, well, we'll just wait to GameStop get one or order off of Amazon. I'll be like, no, the eShop is right there. You could find a lot of great games, and I do recommend a lot of eShop indie games. So these physical releases, I believe, will kind of help those companies get more visibility and help them more in sales.
I really feel it just occurred to me like 5 minutes ago while we were talking about this. There is a brilliant market void that could be filled if somebody totally went in as a publishing company and just started grabbing up publishing rights to indie games, like what Atlas did with a lot of the JRPGs, bringing them to the States, as the publishing company, to bring those here as kind of an ambassador, for these games that nobody else would touch. These games are, already out in the States. I think that there really is a market void that could be filled by a publishing company going, you know what? There's a fuck ton of people that would totally buy this shit if we pick and choose and curate the right games for that audience and bring them physical copies and handle the publishing side of it.
Oh, I agree. Completely agree.
Yeah.
So, Atlas, you've totally got a thing, and you've got an awesome market. You could totally build on that if you wanted to pick this up, guys. Just saying.
And Atlas is is a trusted name when it comes to video games. Like I know they're very well at their marketing for digital games, because they got great sales almost every week on the 3DS. But Atlas is such a trusted name in this market. Like you could put a Double Dutch competition role playing game by Atlas and it would sell. Like people would get hyped for it. So having indie games attached to Atlas, I think people will recognize it more and be like, yeah, I need to buy this game.
I mean, one could hope. And I mean, maybe it's not Atlas's thing, maybe Atlas's thing is knowing, what JRPGs to bring to the States, like what's going to translate well to the American market here. But, I'm sure somebody out there has to be in touch with this. There's got to be.
Probably XSEED. I know they've been known to be touching, like, it bringing out indie games and stuff.
Well, but I mean that's a thing. Somebody needs to get on that shit. And frankly, you know what? I think Yacht Club games would be a great one, because I know they're getting into some publishing stuff now too.
Yeah.
Yacht Club would be brilliant. They did a beautiful job bringing that physical copy, of Shovel Knight to the market with that spectacular, old school style, manual that was like 40-something pages.
That was the best in the world.
You jizzed yourself looking at it. But that's a thing. I think Yacht Club could totally jam on that. That would be a great way to expand their empire.
Yeah, I think Yacht Club is probably the company to do it, because they're just doing it by themselves, which, again, it's just unbelievable how much they've grown and how much they believe in their product. They took the chance, they did it, and they did it right, and it worked out very well for them. Of course, they needed some help with publishing in Japan, and that's why Nintendo published Shovel Knight in the Japanese market. But I think, like, after this experience, they'll probably do it themselves next time. They'll probably, whatever next game they work on, chances are they'll probably publish it themselves everywhere on the world, and that's awesome.
I think because they work well with Nintendo, I think they'll probably still work with Nintendo to get that next game out. If they do, if Nintendo gets the exclusives to it, to have that game released on their system, even if Nintendo doesn't publish it, I think Nintendo will still help them to be like, because this game was very successful on our system. And so I think their next game, they'll probably be a Nintendo exclusive if Nintendo snacks it. before everybody else can. To me that would be interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Shovel Knight, of course, deserved to be on a Nintendo platform first. That it was where it was meant to be.
Yeah.
From the beginning. I mean, like, that game was born from that love of the era where it's taking inspiration from, and it had to be on the platform that everybody played those games back in the day, right?
Right.
But that's us. I think they're probably gonna keep working with Nintendo. I think their relationship worked out really well, and they don't have any beef with them. And next game, it's probably gonna be again on a Nintendo platform first, and then move on to everything else. And they're gonna start publishing some other indie stuff. I, for one, I know that if anyone at Jack Club approaches me and says like, "Hey, we really like your game. We'd like to publish it." Yep, I'm okay with that. You publish it, of course. I would love to work with you.
The Yacht Club got to be very wary who they work with. Just be like, if you know that this publisher don't have no good business practices, do not connect with them. If they don't have the standards, I feel like if they don't have the standards like Nintendo, like even if Nintendo doesn't do it and Sony wants it, go with Sony. If Microsoft wants it, go with them. Like, just make sure that whoever they get with is not shady with the game, because we do not need no shady mess to be met with Yacht Club Games. They have worked too hard to bring out a Game of the Year for their first game. Actually, like, to come out with a Game of the Year as your first game and still dominate to this very day, like, that's awesome. Like, so you kind of they really have to be wary on who they're gonna work with as a publisher.
Well, not just that, but they've worked very hard to cultivate a lot of goodwill with their the gamers that are buying their product too. Not just the product that they put out, but the way that they interact with, the public as well that consumes their product. They've gone to great lengths to be very, very cool and, very consumer minded in that, they want to bring them cool shit because they love them. So.
Yeah.
Now, if I could just get Treasure to make a game and release it digitally as an indie game, I would be fine.
Yeah. All the good Treasure shooters.
Oh, yes.
So, Adrian, I've got a little news, and you may want to plug your ears for this because it ties back just for a moment to our earlier conversation that you were out of the room for, as it were. But I do want to drop this little nugget because I have a friend that's very, very talented and very cool and very generous to us. I was just reaching out to him as we were talking, given the nature of our discussion earlier. And the reason I mentioned now is because I think I made mention of it after we paused for break and stopped recording. But I have a wonderful friend by the name of Jesse Andrews, and he sings for a very spectacular band called Emperors and Elephants. If you haven't if you've never heard of them, check them out. They're actually based kind of in your area, Eddie. They're out in the Chicagoland area. Ooh. But every show that they play, Jesse talks about. There's one song that he plays every show, and it's kind of a therapy for him. He lost a very dear friend to someone that showed up drunk to a party with a loaded handgun, and in a moment, in a flash, his friend was gone. And he talks about it at his shows, and he's not an asshole about it. He's very, very cool. He simply says, "Look, if you're going to own a gun, be responsible. Don't ever point it at anything you don't plan on shooting, and don't be an asshole with it." And he leaves it at that. But so you'll have already heard it at this point in the show. But I was reaching out to him and I asked him if I could drop that show or that song in the intermission here at break. So that's the song that you guys heard. That's called "Hit of Red" by Emperors and Elephants. That's from their album "Devil in the Lake." Check them out on Facebook. They've got a new album getting ready to drop as well. I've heard some of the new stuff. It's fucking awesome. And check out, where they're playing on Facebook. See if they're coming to your area. And dear God, if they're coming to your area, go fucking see them. They're awesome. They're a great bunch of guys. They're all super cool. They love to hang out and talk with everybody afterwards. And they've gotten to play some spectacular stuff. They've got some really cool notches on their belt. But yeah, that's you guys will have already heard this by the time I edit the show together at intermission. But I just wanted to mention because permission for that just came in as we were talking, and he was super excited to have us put that in there actually. So I just wanted to give a little context to what you guys heard, our listeners heard in the intermission there. But like I said, that's "Hit of Red" by Emperors and Elephants, and that's some of the story behind it. But it's an absolutely beautiful song by a wonderful bunch of guys. Please, I can't stress enough. God, go check them out on Facebook, Emperors and Elephants. But shout out to Jesse and the guys, Jesse and Jeff and Jason. I love all of you guys, and Mook, and who runs their, drives them around, and everything, and runs their merch table. And now I'm a complete asshole because I've just blanked on God damn it, Jesse, Jason, Jeff, and I've totally blanked out on the fourth, and I'm a complete dick, and you can punch me in the head next time I see you for blanking on names like an idiot. But much love to all four of you guys that play, all five of you that travel together. Thank you for that. So,
all right, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Adrian, what's your choice for games, physical games, and what do you think about it?
Well, so my two favorite indie games, which are Shovel Knight and Ori and the Blind Forest, already have physical releases. Of course, I would like Ori and the Blind Forest to come to like Wii U and stuff like that. But those two games already have some sort of physical release, which makes me super happy, of course. So I think I'm going to go with my third option, which is Braid. I think Braid needs to come back. It was a fantastic game. It was one of the first indie games that made people understand, I can download games on my console, and they're really cool quality games. So I think a physical release of Braid going for like $15-20 will totally make sense. It will also help to come on other platforms, like it's not on Xbox One, it's not on PS4, I don't think it's on Vita, it's not on Wii U as well, so it will be cool for that game to come back. I think it will make a big splash on today's market for sure. So that's my pick.
Do you think Jonathan Blow would actually do that?
Oh, of course not. He will never do it. That's just my wish. Yeah, I mean, like, he already worked on The Witness, and he worked on The Witness for like 7 years, and The Witness really paid off for him. So he doesn't have any reason to go back to Braid. That's fine. I understand it. That doesn't stop me from wanting a physical copy of the game for sure.
Well, I think people would be mad if he did go to Braid, release it now as a physical copy, and then his other game before he did The Witness, he didn't fix, and all those broken promises and stuff. I think a lot of people, that time in his game development, people wouldn't forgive him. But I would love to play Braid. I really would. I would love to have a physical copy of that game and play it.
Yeah. And that's the topic.
But what do you think of physical indie releases? Like, how do you feel about them? Like, do you wish more would come out, or do you think if they got with a publisher, it's not an indie game anymore?
Okay, so I'm an indie developer. What it means to be an indie is you publishing the game by yourself. As soon as you go onto a publisher that has big pockets like EA, Nintendo, Sony, like Bethesda, anything, any big name out there, you stop being an indie because you didn't publish your own game.
I'm going to interject for just 1 second. It came to me, so I don't get punched in the head next time I see you guys. Ron was the one that I blanked on. So Jesse and Jason and Jeff and Ron, thank you all, you guys. And Mook.
Okay, Adrian, continue.
Yeah, so that's basically what it means to be an indie. And just like I said at the beginning, yes, physical releases of indie games are awesome. I'm okay with indie game going to a publisher for a physical release after they publish the game themselves. That makes a lot of sense for me, in my opinion. So yeah, more physical games for sure. Indie games.
So
Club is already doing it, so get on it.
So an indie game has to release digital first only, correct?
No. I'm not saying that. It doesn't have to release digitally. It can release physically, but it has to be self-published. That's the whole indie umbrella.
I don't know. I think for me, as long as it's indie developed, I'm not so much concerned about the publishing side of things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm actually going to defend Eddie here on the Bionic Commando issue too. You know, in terms of like what was out there on Live Arcade, you know, a number of years ago when that dropped, that had enough of an indie feel to me. Yeah, it was, you know, done by Capcom, but you know, so much of what came out on Live Arcade and PSN wasn't necessarily indie developed or indie published, but it was done with the right mindset of, you know, small team, you know, making a game with a lot of love and more focus on concept and idea than, you know, the super high polish end of things that usually goes into a big AAA title. You know, I would totally defend the XBLA rendition of Bionic Commando is very indie-ish.
Right, because Capcom went to an indie developer. An indie developer did Bionic Commando, the reboot of, or remake, I should say remake, because I think it is a remake. They went to an indie developer, and Capcom was going to publish it, and it only had been available digital. It's still to this very day. It's only it's only digital, like 1 and 2. So even like with Strider, they went to an indie developer. So that's why I was just like, them having a physical release might seem problematic, going by your rules, Adrian. But because the developers who made it were indie, it's just that Capcom did the publishing stuff for it.
Capcom gave them the money. That's not how indie works, man.
True. That is true, but the developer was indie. But that's why I changed my mind, because I thought that the developer was indie. Well, the developers are indie, but just like you said, Capcom gave them the money. So that's why I said like a compilation like that would have been nice as a physical release. But that still would have make it indie.
Yeah, for me, indie is about who's developing it, not who's publishing it. But that's my personal take on it. You know, and I know that you as a you know, an indie developer in a very small, you know, team and, you know, company have likely a different you know, take on that. But me, just strictly as the consumer side, you know, I look at it and I go, you know, was it made by, and I mean made by, not published and, you know, put out into the world by, but was it developed by an indie team, or was it, you know, barring that even, was it made with that indie mindset of, you know, small team, you know, big focus on design and concept, and not so much about, you know, being this huge hyper polished AAA product. You know, something that's, you know, maybe a smaller, easier to digest, and, you know, smaller budget game, and, you know, smaller price point game that, you know, that to me constitutes indie-ish. You know, even for my money, going back before, you know, we had the likes of WiiWare and XBLA and PSN, I would even dare to say going back to, GameCube and PS2 and Xbox, games like Future Tactics and Phantom Dust, hell, even, Alien Hominid was a case in point of an indie game that was making it onto a console with a physical release. But, those are games that very much had the indie feel to me. I'll grant you that Phantom Dust especially kind of pushed that boundary, because even though it was a small budget title, released at $20 or $30 brand new, it still had that, that bigger feel that, it's like, okay, this feels like it could have maybe been done by a spare team, big publisher, but that I will still classify almost as indie. But, a game like Future Tactics, though, really had that very indie feel on those consoles, just 2 generations ago. So, it's there are some that was the only way they could get out, and the fact that they did get out was a small miracle in and of itself. So,
yeah, I mean, we can go. This should be another topic for another day, because we can go for hours on this. I have more to say about it, but time is running out, and I'm extremely tired.
Okay, then we're just gonna get to our last topic, and this is a simple question, very easy. This is a nice cleanse palette for everybody. Would you ever go back in time and co-op with your younger self? Yes, for me, definitely. I would love to go back in time and just play Contra with my younger self. Like, have 2 good experienced players, learning the in and outs of the game, and just laughing and cracking up. Knowing my younger self and knowing myself now, I would do that. What about you, Adrian?
I was a brat. I won't hang out with myself, no. I will probably punch him in the face.
So violent.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. No, I mean, like, I will trade Pokemons with myself, probably. Challenge myself to a Pokemon battle, that would be fun, but I didn't play many co-op games when I was growing up, because, like, nobody I knew play games, so I was always playing single-player games by myself all the time. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'll trade Pokemons for sure. Have Pokemon battles, but other than that, not really.
Okay, what about you, Larry?
Oh God, yes, I definitely would. I unfortunately grew up in a neighborhood without pretty much anyone to play with as a kid, and I did play a lot of like single player stuff. I still loved playing stuff like the beat 'em ups, like I said, like Battletoads and Ninja Turtles. And I would love to have someone to play those with as a kid. I would have killed for that. And I never had that. Nobody in my family was into it. I was kind of the odd man out. And so that was just a just me thing, really, unfortunately. So yeah, I would totally go back and do that, because I have tons of shit that I still play today that I played as a kid that I would love to have somebody to play with. So.
All right.
Oh, but before we close this shit out, I am gonna mention I've broken down, and I'm not playing it hardcore. It's just a sporadic here and there thing. But I did break down, and I've started dinking around with Pokemon Go a little bit. So I will speak to that. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but it is an amusing time sink, and it gives me the occasional excuse to go wander around my local park and fuck around a little bit. It's not perfect by any means. It's got problems, and the recent update, they tried to address that problem by basically taking a feature away and going, we hope you just forget that this was a problem and nobody talks about it, but now everyone's talking about it as a result. But it's entertaining. There are things that I hope get better for it, but as of right now, it's a nifty thing to play around with. But yes, I did break down. I'm finally fucking around with Pokemon Go, and I'm enjoying what little of it I'm playing.
That's good.
So yeah, that's a thing.
My Pokemon doesn't come to October or November, so whenever that game is released.
Yeah.
And it's called Sun and Moon. So, and with that, everybody, that is the show. But before we go, Larry, did you have Here's the Pitch?
Oh God, yes. I'm gonna throw back to an old one from years ago. I'm gonna totally pitch out what I was hoping for and still hope for one day to see in this Zelda game. Actually, I had a pitch years ago that I threw out to somebody. I think I put it down in an article, and it may even exist out in the interwebs somewhere still to this day. But the concept was that we were looking at a kind of a very Bronze Age, steampunky era of Legend of Zelda, and I never really fleshed out the details. But I think that setting would be really cool to see that genre in. For one, I think all the the mechanisms and designs would make for some great items, mechanics, and puzzles. But beyond that, the other thing that I would really love to see happen in that series is I would love to see them explore at the end of the game, potentially what set off the flood that buried Hyrule, or that drowned Hyrule, that led to Wind Waker. I know it's a little bit of minimalistic, here's the pitch, and it's not anything that I ever super fleshed out. It's just one of those kind of nebulous ideas I've had in my head for many, many years. But, I think the setting would be a great place for them to explore. Obviously they've explored a few different, kind of variations on a theme with settings, especially with the upcoming Breath of the Wild, kind of looking at that ruinistic, centuries post apocalyptic kind of thing in its own right. And, post apocalyptic might not be the right word for that, but, post disaster and the world's just kind of overgrowing, kind of that Shadow of the Colossus feel, which I'm totally digging. But that aside, like I said, to just see, what happened that triggered the flood that eventually, drowned Hyrule, I think would be really cool to finally see and string some timeline events together to Wind Waker.
That would be awesome, actually. Yeah. Wind Waker is my favorite 3D Zelda, so.
So yeah, there you have it. It's I'm a little off my mark on that today. I hadn't given it a whole lot of thought, but yeah. So remind me, actually, now that I think about it, remind me next week for our Here's the Pitch, and I'll talk about what I want to see eventually from Metroid Dread. The one game that never materialized off of that list of E3 games, from so many years ago, because every other game that was on that list eventually came out. Metroid Dread is just that one nebulous one sitting there in the wings, and they've teased us with it every once in a while. Like, if you're playing through Corruption, if you pay close attention, there's a scan somewhere in Metroid Prime Corruption that actually talks about Metroid Dread.
Ooh,
so
nice.
It's a terrible, terrible tease, but it's like, yes, we acknowledge it was a thing. But in any case, I'll talk about that next week.
And with that, everybody, that is our show. We would like to hear what you guys think. Is what's wrong with eating that Panda Express? Does simulated violence in this gameplay create criminals? What would you guys like for a physical indie watch? And would you ever go back in time and co-op with your younger self? We would want to hear your answers and your thoughts to these questions. You can email the show at world101podcast@gmail.com. That's WORLD 101podcast @gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter at @Retrocode, ThatRetrocode, and hear my podcast, Optional Opinion, on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, where you can also hear this show on Google Play, iTunes, and SoundCloud, and also on archive.org. Larry, go ahead and plug away.
At this point, the biggest thing Eddie's already mentioned, we're out on archive.org. the link to that is up on our Facebook page at World11 on Facebook. Beyond that, I'll drop the link to that every week when I post up a new episode, so that, for those that don't have it, there it is. Beyond that, I'm out on Facebook. Larry is always right, Giver. I'm up on Xbox Live on 360, Megatron 0016. I've got all my other friend code and Nintendo Network ID shit posted up on our Facebook page as well. Hit me up there. I'm still itching for some friends to bust out some fast racing Neo with, which God knows, Eddie, you and I are gonna get that shit going when you're here in a couple weeks.
Yes.
Like I said, with any luck, you guys will be hearing our show with Eddie and I actually in the same room for the first time here in a couple weeks when that happens too, which will be fucking awesome. Other plugs beyond that, I want to say shout out again to our friends at Fandom Furniture. They did my spectacular Metroid Prime 3 chairs. Pictures of that are up on our Facebook page as well. Much love for everyone out at Emperors and Elephants. Thank you for letting us drop your song into the show. And I know it's your story, but hearing it was wonderful, and it makes me sad, but it makes me very, very happy to have you as a friend, hearing how you dealt with that. But much love to all of you guys at E&E, Jesse and Jason and Jeff and Ron and Mook. Hopefully we'll see you guys back in town here soon. Barring that, eventually when the baby's old enough, we're totally taking her to one of your shows out in your area. So, but yeah, hit them up too. So Fandom Furniture is out on Facebook. Emperors and Elephants out on Facebook. So, friends of the show.
Yes.
And just in case I haven't mentioned it recently, which I don't think I have, but much love out to Orgy as well, again, for them being so fucking super cool and letting us use their song Wide Awake and Dead for our opening every week. Mad props to them. Go check out their new album, Talk Sick. It's out now. It's spectacular. They're in the studio making more stuff as well as we speak, and hopefully we'll see that soon. They're touring as well. Go check them out if they happen to be coming through your area as well. So, and I'm going to shut the hell up.
And Adrian.
Just go to thefirstmachine.com. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
Adrian just in his chair sleep.
I'm tired. Let's just finish this so I can go to sleep.
Frozenmachine.com sounds like a yogurt website. It's a
It totally does.
website.
It totally does.
And you can buy his game Tuna Cycle on iOS and at Google Play. And with that, everybody, we are out. Have a great week. Have a great weekend. And we should see you next episode. And with that, we are out. Peace.
Bye.
Deuces.